see it. And would you state your name for the record as well as first and last name?
Kristy Gibson-Marshall, KRISTY-GIBSON-MARSHALL.
Go ahead, prosecutor.
Thank you. Good morning.
Hi.
May I call you Kristy?
Yes.
Kristy, could you please tell the jury where you're employed?
Oxford Community Schools.
How long have you been with Oxford?
29 years.
And what do you do right now?
I'm an assistant principal
Okay. And that's at the high school?
at the high school.
How long have you been the assistant principal at the high school?
6 years.
And what did you do before that?
I was an elementary principal.
Also in Oxford District?
Yes.
Now, if you could tell the jury a little bit about your role as an assistant principal. What are some of your responsibilities?
Teacher supervision, evaluation, curriculum and instruction, supervising. I do parent communications. It's hard to think of all the stuff that my big giant list while I'm sitting here, but we have a student relations team that works together to support our alphabet, part of the alphabet. Big goal is, like, to me, my biggest role is supporting students, and I love the kids, so just bringing energy and having fun with them.
You've been in education, you said, for 29 years?
Yeah, yes.
So up until this role, you were an elementary school principal?
I was, and then prior to that, I was a teacher.
Teacher before that, okay. Now, as it happens, the school that you were principal at was Jennifer Crumbley's son, one of those students.
Yes.
Okay. And what grades, if you recall, was he there?
4th and 5th.
Did you have any contact with him in your role as a principal in those 4th and 5th grade years?
No.
Did you have any contact with his mother or father?
Not that I remember. I had an email about a report card once, but that's all I remember.
And that would have been years prior?
Like 5th grade going to 6th.
Now, I'd like to direct your attention to November the 30th of 2021, about 12:50 in the afternoon. So we have the screen in front of you. That should be displaying People's Exhibit 5. This is a map of the Oxford High School.
Yes.
If you could tell us, if you recall, where you were about 12:50 in the afternoon that day.
I was in the cafeteria. I started in the cafeteria supervising lunches. So what would be, I guess, they're the commons.
So right
Yes,
here?
correct.
Okay. So was that lunchtime while you were there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And is there a time where you moved? So around that time on November the 30th, did you have a specific area of the school you would go to, or did you move around?
We didn't have an assigned area, but I like to go to the senior courtyard after lunches and just kind of help see that courtyard area.
Okay.
The hallway out in front of this courtyard area between where you see 400 and 401.
Okay.
Our seniors hang out there and they congregate in a good way, not terrible. Let me just clarify. It's kind of like the rite of passage, and we just like to kind of go there and keep traffic flowing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that something you would do on a routine basis?
Yeah. My bad mom joke on that one is that I make it a senior citizen window, and I stand in that area.
Was there a point that day when you realized something was going wrong?
When I was approaching the senior courtyard, so when I was coming down the hallway from the commons, what says commons, I call it cafeteria, by the media center, by the courtyard, and hit the 500 room. When I kind of got to that triangle there, that diamond there, one of the students that I know pretty well went running by and said, "Get the hell out of here." And he was laughing and running, and I was like, that was a mixed message.
Sure. At that point, was there an announcement on the loudspeaker?
No, not at that point, no. No.
Was he the only one running?
Shortly after him, there was a group of kids laughing and running behind him. When I stopped to ask them what was going on, they weren't entirely sure. But as kids started to pass, you could see it got more serious.
Okay.
I grabbed my walkie-talkie and I
What do you mean it got more serious? What do you mean by that?
their faces got more, I'm sorry, their faces became more serious.
Did that signify something to you when you saw that?
Yeah, just something, them running signified something to me because it's not a typical behavior.
Okay.
But the running and laughing was confusing, and then when their faces became more serious, I was started to get very worried, and that's when I grabbed my walkie-talkie.
Okay. What did you do with your walkie-talkie?
I said, I'm not sure what's happening, but kids are running in the hallway, which is very odd, and look like they're trying to leave the building.
So where did you go?
They shortly after I got on the walkie, they went to Alice Alert, and so
What's Alice Alert?
Alice Alert is our intruder. I'm going to call it intruder alert because that's what it was that day. But it's a notice that we need to take cover, lock down, be aware. It's an emergency assistance.
An alarm ringing, or is that somebody who's giving a message over the PA system?
On that day, it was a message over the PA system.
Do you recall who gave that message?
Steve Wolf.
And who was that?
Steve is our principal.
He's the principal. Okay. So, is this shortly after you saw the students leaving that appeared to be more serious to you?
Practically the same. Yeah, it was like they went, when the more serious students came by, the announcement went on.
Okay. Now, when you hear that announcement, what were you supposed to do?
I'm supposed to lock down.
Did you?
No.
What did you do?
I went to check the hallways to make sure people were okay.
When you first started to check the hallways, did you see anybody?
The hallways cleared so fast. When I made the turn down the 400 hallway, I ran into a teacher who was locking his door, and then a student came up who was running late. He asked if it was a drill. I let him know that it didn't matter if it was a drill or not, just you got to take cover, get in there. And then I proceeded down the hallway. I was the only one in the hallway at that point.
Did you hear anything?
First, I smelled something. I smelled what I thought was cap gun.
Okay.
Later, figured out it was gunpowder. And then I heard two gunshots.
Where were you when you first smelled what you thought to be cap gun?
Probably by like the somewhere between 409 and 414.
Okay. So you were continuing to walk down that hallway, the 400 hallway, towards the 200 hallway. That's in yellow highlight.
Yes, that's where I heard the gunshots. I was going that direction.
You were walking towards the gunshots.
Yep. Yes.
As you walked down the hallway, did you see anybody else?
No.
Tell me where you went.
When I got to the end of the hallway, I realized how dumb this is. I turned left to go towards where I heard the gunshots.
So this hallway.
And I went towards 225.
So you came down the 400 hallway and you turned left towards 225.
Yes.
Tell us what you saw when you made a left.
I saw a student laying on the ground.
Did you know who he was?
I didn't at that time, no. His face was covered. And then as I continued a couple of steps, I could see another student walking my direction. He had just dropped his arm was up, and then he dropped his arm.
Did you recognize him?
Not at that point, no. He was too far away.
What did you do when you saw a student on the ground?
There was a garbage can between he and I, so I moved the garbage can out of the way, and I put my foot near him and nudged him and told him to stay there.
Did he respond?
No. No.
Could you tell if he was injured at that point?
You could tell he was injured.
What happened next?
Ethan then came into closer view, and I could tell it was Ethan.
He had been at the school where you were principal?
Yes.
Did you interact with him at all at Oxford High School?
Just normal, like how I interact with everybody. High fives, hugs, silly stuff that I do.
Okay.
I brought my elementary to the high school, so I just
Did you
enjoyed the
say
kids.
anything to him?
When he got close enough to me that we were sharing the hallway, so he was kind of walking down the center and I was kind of over to the side, so we're probably 3 feet apart. I asked him if he's okay. It just didn't seem right that it would be him.
So I need to back up just a little bit. When you didn't know who it was at first, the student down the hallway, you said he had lowered his arm.
I knew it was a shooter when he was down the hallway.
Okay. Could you see if he was holding anything?
I could see a gun.
At that point, was he walking towards you or away from you?
He's walking towards me. It was when I realized it was Ethan that I didn't think he could possibly be the shooter is what happened. Like I know I said I knew he was a shooter down there because I could rationalize that is a gun. He is putting that gun down. He just shot something.
Okay. Now, I know this is difficult, but I need you to use your teacher voice and speak
Okay.
as loud as you can. You saw him coming towards you. How far from him were you when you recognized who it was?
He was probably by the room 221 when I could tell who he was.
Okay.
And I was standing between 226 and that weight section there. Yeah. There's exit doors there.
Now, you said you said something to him?
Yeah, it seemed so odd that it was him. So I said, "Buddy, are you okay? What's going on?" And when he didn't respond to me and he looked away, that's when I knew it was him, that he was the shooter.
Did he point the gun at you?
He did not.
What did you do at that point?
I got on the walkie and I told my team that I have eyes on a shooter and I have a victim.
Now this hallway, 200 hallway, there's a curve to it.
Yeah. Yes.
And he was walking, if we follow the mouse cursor here, he was walking down the 200 hallway towards 233 and 237?
Yeah, he was walking that direction.
That direction?
Yes.
Did you watch where he went?
No.
What did you do?
There was a student who was injured, so I went to him. I didn't.
Okay.
I knew he needed me.
He has, I know you're aware, but there's been certain rulings by the court, so just in general terms, did you render aid to that student?
I did.
Could you tell if he was injured at that point?
Yes.
Did you recognize him?
Yeah, I knew it was another one of my students from Lakeville. Tate Neer. It just took my breath away.
You were on the walkie-talkie, you said?
Yes. So I let them know I had eyes on the shooter and that I had a victim. Kurt News asked me where I was. It's probably the biggest hallway we have, and I said I was in the 200 hallway. Kurt let me know that's a very big hallway and needed more direction. I don't know why I couldn't process the fact that, like, my exact location, I told him I was near the 400.
Okay. Did you stay with Tate until help arrived?
Yes.
Now, you have seen at least a portion of the Oxford High School surveillance video, is that right?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as People's 9. It's been admitted. It cannot be broadcast on media.
All of it? I've never seen it, so you have to tell me.
The entire, this is a short clip of it. None of it can be broadcast.
Okay. You have, okay, so you guys are not video, okay. Everybody gets it?
I have a tight shot of the.
We're going to stop the live stream? Should we stop the live stream?
Yes.
Yes, Judge.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
All right.
I do want to give notice to the jury as well. This is, there will be an image of a victim on this video.
Okay.
Okay, Kristy, tell us when we see you.
I am approaching right in the yellow jacket there, the gold jacket.
For the record, this is at 12:51 p.m. on November the 30th. So no one's come by at this point.
No. I forgot about, that's when he came by. He said, "Get the hell out of here." I don't know if you could see him running through there.
The first student?
And you see more students running. These kids are kind of laughing, and then you'll see me stopping. There we go. There's my walkie.
And you're walking down the
And
middle
I'm
hallway there?
walking towards the direction that the kids told me. They clear the hallways very, very, very fast.
That's you at the top of the screen?
Yes, I didn't realize that we passed there. This is where the teacher came out. I'm checking another classroom to make sure they were okay. And then I'm continuing on. This is where I'm saying, that's when I stepped aside, that's when I said I had eyes on the shooter, because he flinched a little bit, or at least my perception that he did. This is where I moved the garbage
Tate on the
can.
ground?
That's Tate. When I'm talking on the walkie, I try to step back a little bit because I think it threw Ethan off a little. And so there he is coming up to me. And I start talking to him here. And I'm letting them know that I have a victim and I have a shooter. I'm asking him questions. And I turned my back on him and I came back to Tate because I didn't know it was Tate then. And then that's what right there is when I know it's Tate.
This is after the police arrive on scene and cut portions of this.
Yeah. So police arrived on scene and they were trying to figure out his name.
The shooter's name?
Yes, and so I left Tate to go tell them who it was, and then I went right back to Tate. I did not want to be away from Tate. I was telling Ken, his name's Ethan.
Thank you for your statement.
Overhead cross, you can resume, they can resume the live stream, right? So,
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, is the prosecution doing the question?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I can't think straight.
oh, yeah, I think he said that he's
Yes.
finished. Yeah.
Okay. I have no questions for you, I'm sorry.
Thank you.